Hello everyone. Today we will discuss on two questions that is currently displayed before you. First is we will discuss on why devotion is widely accepted in Hinduism, and the second question is what is joy and what is pleasure. Let's start with the first one. As we all know, there are various theories for the truth, devotion, meditation. These are the various ways to reach the truth. But we don't know which is true, which path we shall follow, and we don't know what is truth also. Either the concept of God, the widely accepted theory of God, that is true, or Advaita is true. We don't know. It's not because that there is lesser knowledge. We do have enormous knowledge that is spread around us in form of Vedas, Upanishad, Gita, and various scriptures. Still, we are unable to know the truth. So today I am not going to give you one more knowledge or logic. We will just discuss why it is so that devotion is a widely accepted theory in Hinduism. Devotion, which says that there is a supreme God and this universe is governed by the law of karma, and we keep on taking birth as a consequence of our past karma. So, this is the widely accepted theory in Hinduism. But there should be some reason that why it is widely accepted. Why other theories like Advaita is not widely accepted. As per my realization, so whenever I use the word realization, it's different from liberation. When I say realization, it doesn't mean I am liberated or I know the truth. I believe there is a ladder which takes us out from this dream to the world of reality. And the first step of the ladder and the first step of the ladder is realization, and the last step is liberation. Liberation when you leave this dream and enter into your original world. So the one who has realized that Advaita is true, they are still on the first step of the ladder. There's still a lot of journey need to be completed. So let's come to our original question: why Hinduism is a widely accepted theory? So since I am a practitioner of truth, means a seeker of the truth, and there might be millions more like me who are in search of truth, I can say about my experience that whichever path you take, either you take devotion or you take the path of meditation to reach to that truth, you will realize after some time that if you have not opted the path of devotion, this other path, which is not devotion, either it is path of meditation or some other path, it's going to confuse you after some time. It's going to put you under huge stress. Why so? Just think, the path which is not of devotion, in that path we are the one who decide what is the truth. A thought comes into our mind, we analyze the truth, or in the path of meditation we just want to get away from all type of thoughts. These are the various non devotional ways that we normally practice. But here is a question. Suppose if you follow the non devotional path to find the truth, your mind and thought that plays an important role. But do you think thoughts are in your control? Who controls the thought? Is it you who decide which thought is going to come in your mind or someone else? We don't know how thought comes into our mind. We don't know how do we process the thought, how mind processes the thought, how it bifurcates the information, how it analyzes the thought, how it discards or accepts the thought. There might be millions of chemical reactions that might be happening inside our mind once the thoughts arrive. We neither know the source of truth, where this thought is coming. Either we are attracting or someone is pushing. It's for sure that we are not generating. So we neither know from where this thought is coming and what is the mechanical structure of this mind or the biological structure of this mind, how it process how it process this thought and either discard this thought or accept the thought. We don't do anything. Suppose a thought comes into your mind and you like that thought or you like that logic and you accept it. And at the same time, if I intoxicate you, due to some reason, if you yourself intoxicate, then what will happen? If you are in an intoxicated state, your thought might change, your decision making might change. We completely trust on our mind that whatever we think, whatever thought it comes, and whatever the decision we have taken, it's we who has taken the decision. But it's not we, it's not me who has taken the decision. It's my mind, it's my body. And I cannot trust my body and mind because it is not me. I don't know who is this body, how this body has been created, who is pushing the energy into this mind to function. I neither know this body nor this mind. Then how I can say that the thought which is getting processed by this mind and the acceptance or rejection from this mind is true. So as we were discussing that the non-devotional path is completely based on the mind and the thought, and neither we know the source of mind nor we can trust this mind and body because we don't know ourselves who we are. And the more you will try to deep dive either into meditation or any non-devotional path, it's going to put you under deep stress. This is my feeling. I might be wrong also. And I think why devotion is a widely believed practice because in devotion you are going to surrender everything to the unknown. You are neither trusting your mind, you are neither trusting the source of the thought or the thought itself, nor to the body. You are not trusting anything. And before surrendering, you have a state of mind that you are not capable to do anything. You are not capable to find your identity yourself. That's why you are surrendering. And surrender will, and this process of surrender will de stress you because there is no load in your mind, there is no thought, there is no load on the body. You de stress yourself by surrendering. I don't say or I don't think that by surrendering you will know the truth. But I believe you are not going to know the truth either by surrendering or by not surrendering. But surrendering is something which completely de-stress you. And what will happen after de-stress? It might be different realization for the different one. So, bef- so let's just conclude. What do we think that why devotion is a widely accepted practice in Hinduism? It's because non-devotional paths are completely based on mind and thought, and mind and thought cannot be trusted because in different state of mind, if your mind is intoxicated or possessed or any other state, it can process the same thought differently and it can make you even more stressed. So that is why all the other practice which is not based on mind. So here, for example, devotion. So that's why I think it is the most accepted path because ultimately for us pleasure matters or the joy matters. So wherever we lost our joy or we lost our pleasure, we don't accept that path. So now the another question is, what is joy? Why do we like the joy? So if you try to explain the pleasure from the definition of science, so science says that some excretion of hormone happens at the time of pleasure. It's not able to define what the pleasure is. It can define the chemical and biological changes that happens at the time of pleasure. But why we get blown away towards the pleasure? What is the reason for that? So science only defines the chemical reaction or the biological reaction after the pleasure happens. Let's just take for an example, what is the biggest pleasure for us? The biggest pleasure for a human is like, I'm not talking in general, but for most of us, the biggest pleasure is the pleasure of sex. So why sex pleases us? What is the joy of ejaculation? This is also widely discussed. What is this? If you will, if you will read Osho, what he says about this, why do we like this? What is the joy of sex? What is the joy of ejaculation? So Osho says here that this joy is of timelessness and egolessness. So there is no time and there is no ego. So this happens at the time of that fraction of second of ejaculation. So why do we like this egolessness and timelessness? If I can think of what it is, egolessness and timelessness, from my perspective, it is just breaking of your dream. For a moment, you break the dream and you go into your original state. And just after a second, you come back again into your dream. I don't know if this is true or not, but why sex is the biggest joy for human being? It's not these days. From ages, sex is the biggest joy of human being. So we can relate it from that, like our biggest search, the search of our soul is our identity. We have lost our identity and we want to search that identity. So the biggest pleasure will come from our biggest search. Once your biggest search is on the verge of completion, you will find the biggest pleasure in your life. So it means if sex is going to give you the biggest joy and pleasure, then you might have decoded the truth for a second. So Basically, if we'll just see the enlightened people, the history of enlightened people in our history, so only Osho has talked about the pleasure of sex. No one else has talked. As per my knowledge, at least, no one else has talked about this. Because in an orthodox society, or like when Osho was alive, so at the time of 60s and 70s, it was very difficult to talk about these things. Today, it's easier. But at that time, it was very difficult. And if we'll see our history, so almost all the enlightened were there during that time frame. So I believe this is this is what this is the key. Like this pleasure of sex is the key. From this key, we can open the door of this unknown. So let's conclude what is pleasure and what is joy. So in my opinion, pleasure is something that takes you an inch closer to the truth. Whatever might be the pleasure for you, either it is a pleasure of sex or it is a pleasure of anything else, it takes you an inch closer. Though you might get returned after that to the same position, but for a moment it opens the door of the unknown.